Hey friends, welcome back to Llama Mama Kayla's Bead Tube. I'm Kayla, and I'm so happy that you stopped by to hang out with me today. I hope you're all having a great day. As this video gets started, I want to definitely say that I received this in the mail. It is kind of a squishy, it almost looks like a piece of felt, but it is squishy. It's the same on both sides. It came in a package of 3, I believe. Let me look and see if I see the package. Yes, I do. Anyway, Deborah sent me this in the mail to keep my beads from rolling all around. And I appreciate that so much. It's called Basic Elements. It's 3 bead mats. I never knew there was such a thing, but right here it's called bead mats. And so, I can't read the size. Well, yeah, 11 by 14. I could read that. Great. And so, it is 3 sheets. One sheet seems to be darker. The middle sheet seems to be more of a khaki. Like, this is kind of an ivory color. This one's more of a khaki-ish color. But anyway, that was so sweet of you, Deborah. I never knew something like that, that was a real thing. One day I did get out a drying mat and was using that. But then Deborah, I guess, saw these or knew about these. I'm not sure. But thank you so much, Deborah. That will keep my beads from flying all over the place. I appreciate it. So in today's video, I am going to be making a very interesting bracelet. So if you have beads and you want to make a bracelet with me, grab them up and let's go. Okay, I'm going to try to use 2 needles. I haven't done this before, but from what I need to do, I'm thinking I need to do, I'm going to try using 2 needles. It may or may not work. Because on this particular one, I'm going to have to cut my string off of the reel. I always leave my string on the reel, so I'm just putting beads on one end and they don't have anywhere to go. Like, they're not going to come off because they're still connected to this right here. But on this particular, I'm going to have to cut my string, and so I'm just going to have string and not this. So let's see, and this is the beads I'm going to be using, and what I'm doing is kind of making a double bracelet. So let's check this out and see what all I need. I need 52 beads. Yes, 52 beads. Okay, I'm going to start with the pink. So I'm going to have a pink and a pink. And I probably should just lay all of them out at the same time. Right? And then I'm going to have a pink and a pink. And see, that mat did keep that one from rolling off because of the way it laid down. It could have easily took off rolling. Thank you so much for being so thoughtful, Deborah. All right. So I'm laying out all my sets of pinks right there, okay? Whew, that was a workout in itself. Stretching my arm out there. Okay, my next bead on each set is going to be orange. So I'm just going to lay my beads out the way I want them. I'm going to have 6 beads on each of these lines, okay? Okay, so I am finishing up lining up my beads. And so I will tell you, I have these lines of beads. It's 2 lines here, 2 lines, 2 lines, and 2 lines. And in my beads, I have mine pink, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. Now, you don't have to use the same colors I use. You can use whatever you have. You can definitely use red instead of pink, but I did want pink in mine, so I went ahead and just put in a pink instead of red. And then you need 1 bead to separate each section. And in this right here, I have these beads that they are yellow, but they're so pale that they kind of look cream. They don't look yellow, really, especially up against a yellow. Let me just show you. That's a yellow, and that's a yellow. So they're very, very pale yellow. So anyway, I guess it's the yellow inside a banana, you know, the banana part. I'm going to put that as a spacer kind of in between my sections. All right. So I've got all the beads I'm going to need. Now I got to get my string situated. So let me see what I'm going to do with that. Okay, like I said, normally when I am making a bracelet, I don't cut my string off of my little roll. I just get my end and start putting beads on it, and the beads just slide down. They're not going to go anywhere. They're not going to come off because it's still attached. But for this particular bracelet, I need to cut it from my roll. I'm sorry, I couldn't get my words out. I need to cut it from my roll. Okay, so I don't know exactly how much string I'm going to need. And because of the way this is, you know, I'm doing this, I want to make sure that I do have plenty of string and I'm not fighting for string at the end. Okay, so I'm going to do 24 inches at least is what I'm doing. Let me see. I might even do more. But it is a good 24 inches. All right. So I'm cutting it at 24 is what I'm saying. And I'm just going to cut that. And then I'm going to move my string roll away because I'm not using it anymore. Okay, this is what I'm going to do different on this video that I haven't done. I haven't even tried this out. But just because of what I need to do, I'm thinking, let me just try this. So I'm going to tie, I'm going to take this needle, and a pony bead will fit on this needle. So if you want to use needles, that's important to make sure you're using one that fits through your pony beads, because that would be tragic. Okay, I'm going to try to just tie this on. I should have left a little more string for this. I wasn't thinking about this was going to take up some string also. But we'll see in the end whether I needed to leave more or not. Because I might not, and after all, who knows? I might have plenty here. Okay, so I'm just going to tie, it keeps twisting up on me. I'm going to tie a needle on each end of my strings. Okay, I have one end tied on, and so I'm just bringing it down to find the other end of the string. And I'm going to slip this through. I'm going to slip this under here so I have something to hold it for me to tie. Okay, and I'm going to tie it just a couple of times so it doesn't come untied. I don't know if it could. So I have my string, and I have and really and truly, I think I might not have enough string. We're going to try it, and then we'll come back and we'll know if it was too short, then we'll do something. We'll do it again with longer string. Let me just put that around my wrist and see. Yeah, I most definitely feel like it needs to be longer. I wonder why I didn't do that. Let's just try it because I want to know. All right, I'm going to take my spacer bead, and I'm just going to put it down, pull it through the needle. It is a little snug, so I have to pull it through. And I'm just pulling it down to the center down here, and I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, then I'm going to separate these. So I have one on this side and one on that side. starting with this one, I'm going to put the first row on here. I'm putting starting with the purple and the blue, green, yellow, orange, and pink. And I'm just going to push all those down. You know, just one at a time. They need to go on the string. Okay, then I'm going to take this one and put the second row on there in the same order. Okay, and so my little spacer is just right there in the middle, right? Okay, so now we move to the next section. We have our string separated, but we can, if you are able to, you do this without this, you would just bring your strings together and put your pony bead down both strings. But since I'm using these needles, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this side through, and then I'm going to catch my bead before it goes all the way down, and I'm going to put this side through. The same bead going in the same direction. Okay? And then I'm going to separate my beads, and that's going to come all the way down to the bottom. Okay? Separate my needles and the string, right? So that's what I got. Okay, just to recap what we have with our strings separated. Let me see if that needs to be tied a little bit better. Now, you may not need to use these needles, but just because of my hand situations, I decided that it might be easier for me to use the needles. So, and I was just trying to make it easy on myself. So, don't feel like you have to use the needles. You can just hold the string in your hands and do it and not have any issues. Go for it. Okay, so this is what we have. There's a spacer bead in the middle, and then it kind of divides these two lines here. And then we put both lines, strings, through our spacer. Now, I just go back over here, and I'm going to put my first row on my needle. And just bring all those down. And they're going to come all the way down like that. All right, and then over here, same thing. I'm just going to pick up all these needles and put them, beads, and put them on my needle. Okay. All right, and let's see what we got. Let's pull them all down so they go to the bottom. See how they lay out down there? Now, same thing again. I'm going to take the spacer bead and put it through, but then I'm going to catch it and holding it and going up in the same direction as the first needle went in. I'm going to put the needle in again, and that's going to create my spacer bead. Okay, see what we got? That's what it should be looking like. I'm going to zoom in just so you can see a little better. Okay, I'm going to pick that up again so everybody can see what it looks like. So the bottom one is just basically a circle, and then you have a spacer that both strings went through, and then you put your lines in again on each side of your strings. one side, side 2, and then you put your spacer in. All right, so I'm going to go back up here and put the whole row on, and I'm putting them in the same order each time from the bottom up, and the same color order also. Okay, and then I just get the other needle or string if you're not using the needles. Yeah, I just trying to make this easier on myself, and I thought, well, the needles might, if I can find needles that the pony beads will fit through, that would help me, and sure enough, it does. Okay, and then just letting that hang down. That's what we got going so far. And then it's time for another spacer. So I'll put that in, but I'm going to catch it and hold it here. Well, okay. And making sure it's not looped anywhere or anything like that. And then take this string and go up in the same direction the other one did. And there we go. So now that's what we have. Okay. So again, I'm just going to take this line and load up my needle. And then push those beads down. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I like these colors. And you can use any colors that you can even think of, you know. You could just do it red and white for Valentine's. And you probably could even, in these spacer beads, you could use hearts. Use some heart beads or stars or something like that. So you could do a lot of things with this. All right. So that's what we have. Right? Okay. Now I'm just going to kind of flip that up where it's like this. And we're going to look at that. We have a circle. Pretty much. I mean, we can make it into a circle. But we have that spacer bead. The spacer bead that went through 2. The spacer bead that went through 2. And a spacer bead that went through 2 again. And then we have these 2. But we're going to use this spacer bead. So 1 second and I'll show you how to do that. Alright, so what we're going to do is we'll kind of just pull our bracelet around like this, because it is going to make a bracelet. And I'm going to take this string over here, and I'm just going to go through that one yellow bead, that pale banana bead. I'm just going to go through it one time. So on this right here, you've pulled one string through this spacer bead right here. So you have one string here, and then you have this other string is over here. Now you're just going to tie these 2 strings together and bring this bead, whatever color your bead is here, mine is pink, and it's just going to bring that up and tie it right here, okay? So it's going to make a circle like this. Okay, but because of my hand situation, I'm going to need to put all this under my mat so that I can tie my knots. And I hope that doesn't confuse anyone. But basically right now you're ready to just tie knots. Tie your knot and tie it off. But because of my situation, I got to do it a little bit different. So don't let that confuse you. I have this one right here come through my spacer. And this one is the end of my string over here. So I'm just going to pull this to the end. And I'm going to slip this under my mat. Just to give it something heavy to hold it down. That's what I'm trying to do. Hold it down. Okay. Now, let me see if I can get this where you can actually kind of see what I'm doing. Just for my benefits here, what I need to do. I'm going to take these needles, and these needles are kind of helping me see my string, because this invisible string is very hard for me to see. And so I'm just going to tie it off as if, you know, just tying it in knots. And so I'm just pulling it, stretching it, and pulling it. And I'm just going to keep tying it just like that. Like I said, the needles are just helping me see the ends, and I'm just using them to poke through. And I'm going to tie that a bunch of times, because that's what I like to do. You don't have to tie yours as many times if you feel good about it. But for me, I like to tie it a lot of times. And I'm pulling it really tight. Okay. Now, let me see. I'm going to look at my knot and see if I'm happy with that, if it looks good, or if it looks loosey-goosey. I'll tie it some more, but I'm going to be honest, I really can't see it. I tried to look at it, and I can't even see it. So, I'm just going to tie it a couple more times to satisfy myself. And one more time, and then I'm done. I'm done. Okay. Now, I do want to take that last one and pull it really tight. Okay, and then I'm going to hold my string up. I'm going to snip it. Not all the way up my knot, because it, you know, that could make it come undone, but I'm going to snip it right there. Now, this is what we have. And you put it on, and it's like a double bracelet. Isn't that cool? Let me back up so you can see. So we have those spacers. And so the 24 inches was a good amount of string for this. And you can see I'm just... Isn't that cool? So you could even replace these beads for letters and put a name or something there, or whatever you wanted to put. You could have some colored beads, some letters, but it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you have 6 letters to spell a word, you could do that. So that's what it turns out to be. All right, guys, what do y'all think about that bracelet? We'll take it off so you can see it, how it's 2 lines and a spacer, 2 lines, a spacer. All right, you got it? All right, guys, tell me what you think about this bracelet. And I appreciate you all stopping by and hanging out with me. I really appreciate that so much. And I hope you all have a great day. Remember, it's a beautiful day to crochet, a beautiful day to play with beads, or do any other hobby that brings you happiness and puts a smile on your face. So, let's have fun. I'll see you guys in the next video. Love you all.